Hey everyone, John and Ray here, slingshotfutures.com. Today we're going to be going over a very important topic called how to handle trading losses. This is something that a lot of traders have to go through. All of us take losses when we're trading, but not a lot of traders really like to cover, right? It's one of those gray areas where people almost feel ashamed of the losses that they take. The way that I approach trading as a whole, especially when it comes to losses, it's a huge learning opportunity. Now, here we can see a NASDAQ trade that we made all of it back, but that wouldn't have been possible if we weren't keeping losses small. Now, what I'm talking about here is on gold. Earlier this morning, we were looking at a potential bounce area of interest. We have a rising level of support, we have the moving averages coming into play, we have the previous low of day, everything stacking up in the same place. I'm looking to be a buyer here. But knowing the volatility that's in the move here, I'm not going to be willing to give it that much room to really wiggle around. So we buy in, and it's immediately stopped out, right? Welcome to trading, welcome to life, right? Nobody likes seeing the losses, it's always a bummer, but what can we learn from this, right? This is something that a lot of traders could benefit from, is sitting back and looking at the trades that they took, both good and bad, do it for all of them, and look at this trade and say, okay, I know I took a loss. Big deal, there's nothing I can do about it now, right? I took a loss on it. How can I learn from this experience, right? What can I learn from this? Well, a couple things really stand out here that I could have done a little bit better, right? Now, when we're looking at this move up, we have a nice wedge bottom and a wedge top coming into play, and they're rounding off the highs. This lower high in here could be seen as a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern leading into a potential larger correction down. I didn't notice that at the time, right? So noting a little bit of a potential market pattern, although it's not the cleanest looking thing in the world, that is something that stands out, right? Now going in a little bit further and saying, well, we were buying the lows of the wedge, all of that was lining up. In terms of location, I don't really think we could have done anything better. We had a beautiful bull bar to be buying into, we had a rising wedge support, we had the moving average aiding us, we had higher lows, everything was lining up perfectly in terms of location. Now, if taking a little bit of a step back here, could we have found a better entry location? Well, of course, in hindsight, yes. But, you know, looking at this move at the time, the only other place that you'd be looking to buy aside from above this really nice looking bull bar would be at the lows, buying a trap low. That didn't work either, but that would be the other area to be buying into. For me, we're holding everything in the same place. I'm totally okay with buying this. So in terms of entry location, I don't think we could have done anything better. Now, in terms of the way that everything moved, well, you could choose to exit a little bit early. We have a nice bull bar that completely failed. There will be some sellers that sell underneath it. The reason I didn't exit early is because we have a nice bear bar, and we're still above the wedge bottom. This could simply just be a trap. So I waited until it turned back around and whipped me out in this case because my stop is below an area of structure. I want them to prove to me that if structure is not going to hold, then they'll stop me out, right? In this case, they did. Now, you know, looking at the overall move, what are some really good things that we did? Don't beat up on yourself too much. Learn from the mistakes. Learn to prevent them in the future. The only thing that really stands out is a potential formation here of a head and shoulders that could cause a dip lower, along with the fact that this is a range and buying low makes a little more sense than buying in the middle. But in terms of location-wise, again, I don't really think we could have done anything better. So, learning from this type of mistake, what are some things that we did good? Well, we kept risk small, right? Risk was very, very small. We ended up taking a 10-tick stop. 10-tick stop on gold, that's not really much to worry about at all. And keeping that stop small is what allows you to go into other markets and make that back, right? It's so much easier to make a small loss back and end the day in the green rather than making a big loss and then giving everything up at the end of the day because you're never going to make it back, right? So because this loss was so small, when we jumped on over to the NASDAQ and found a beautiful build-in short area, building in two positions and then driving down into our targets, this one wouldn't have been anywhere near as profitable on the day had we taken a larger stop on gold. So because of that, one good takeaway is keeping that risk small, right? Making sure that the probability is in your favor, but when that probability shifts, it's time to get out. And in this case, the probability at that bounce was likely around 60%. It failed, get out, don't let that loss grow on you. And in this case, had you not gotten out, you would have paid the price. That was a big, big slide lower. So when it comes to again reviewing your trades, this is something that not a lot of traders do, but they really should. It's very important to go through and look at what you did, what you could have done better, what you did good, right? Give yourself a pat on the back too. Don't beat yourself up too much, and learn from these experiences. That's how you grow as a trader. So that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you found it interesting, a little bit useful, and of course learning to keep those losses small makes it so that you can end the day still doing just fine. As always, if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email, jbrink@slingshotfutures.com. Until the next one, we'll see y'all then.